The fourth season of Netflix's Top Boy came after a pretty long wait for the fans. But once it did, all the complaints were cast aside, and fans were just glad to watch one banger of a season. Like you'd expect from Top Boy, this season was also filled to the brim with action, which in this show's case directly translates to gangsters and violence. And to wrap it all up, a blockbuster finale was the bookend to an amazing season. Here's Top Boy Season 4 ending explained. So what happened in the fourth season? Before we talk about the ending, let's talk about the journey that led to it. When we last saw action on the streets of East London, Jamie had already been arrested for reported possession of a firearm, and given his role as his younger brother's only caretaker, this was quite the setback for him. And Dushane, who had been perpetuating the arrest, took advantage of Jamie's weakness. He possessed the evidence Jamie would need to prove himself innocent, with the video that showed a younger Atz entering Jamie's home with the responsible weapon. Jamie naturally picked freedom, but his loyalty was bought over just as easily. So Dushane doesn't really have this young subject quite under his grip. Either way, he has more pressing matters to look to. Dushane, at least according to himself, has the Jamie matter in control and is all set to retire from the streets. But before that, he needs to make all of his illegal capital more permanent. He's been presented with a couple of investment opportunities, and it's only a matter of figuring out which one would be the most lucrative, while also providing a secure harbor for all the racks he's made. But investing in the Summerhouse estates would mean stripping the residents of their homes, and that includes Dushane's own mother. So he has been at a crossroads pretty much the entire previous season, and the karma storyline continues through season 4. Dushane still has an overbearing headache to take care of, and the season doesn't actually end on a good note for him. On the other hand, Sully only wants to spend the rest of his days peacefully. He's all about that quiet life now, and literally lives on a boat on a secluded canal. But alas, the good days don't last, as he is dragged back onto the streets when his niece Pebbles asks for help. Overall, it was a heavy season, and many things unraveled. Except for that ending, that's the biggest cliffhanger the show has yet to leave us with. And is Jamie dead? As hard as it is to say this, we saw the last of Jamie this season. The closing scene shows Jamie with his brothers Aaron and Stefan at their home, when an alarming knock on the door is heard. Natural figurehead Jamie once again assumes his fatherly role and leaves the dinner table to answer the knock. But who would have known that it was the last time he saw his own brothers? A ghastly Sully shoots Jamie twice in the chest as soon as he opens the door, and having done his job, Sully flees, leaving two grieving brothers with the corpse of the person they held the closest. So why did Sully do what he did? But what motivated Sully to kill Jamie is the real question. To put it clearly, Sully never trusted Jamie, and he has good reason not to also. Jamie himself tried to extract Sully's life on multiple occasions, when their respective gangs were arch rivals. You already know that Jamie unexpectedly found himself working for the one person he couldn't stand at all in the past, someone who has been an occasional ally to Sully too, aka Dushane. And given their past dynamic, Dushane was obviously also a bit wary of Jamie, but all it took for him to let go of this distrust was a final test to murder his own friend and second in command. Jamie had no option but to follow through, and painfully carried out the task, after which Dushane pretty much became convinced of his loyalty. But even that couldn't convince Sully that Jamie was to be trusted, and he even had a quarrel with Dushane, foreshadowing the events that took place next. And standing on the balcony of Dushane's apartment, he indirectly implied that Jamie would be the descendant to the empire he's built. Disgusted, Sully tells his partner that he doesn't agree with his plans, and in his paranoia, he couldn't see any other way around preventing a possible betrayal other than to shoot his rival dead. The scene was shocking, but the 6th episode from the season, which showed a confrontation between Jamie and Sully, kind of predicted what was to come. Sully is in Spain to deal with a drug supply issue to return Dushane's favor in protecting him from a rival gang. He asks Jamie, "You think I have forgotten?" referring to the murder attempts Jamie has made against him. And when Jamie quotes Dushane, telling Sully that the past is supposedly left in the past, Sully denies this. He tells him that he's still seeking revenge and is not over what Jamie did. Who killed Atz? The 4th season started off with the death of Atz. He was a former friend of Stefan, but then joined Dushane's gang and framed his brother for the possession of a gun. Well, Atz didn't exactly benefit from joining Dushane's ranks. He was killed off between seasons, and we weren't even told how or why. The latest episodes hint at this unsolved mystery at last. In episode 6, it was revealed that Dexter was the one who took Atz's life. He was working for Kit and only followed his command, and the reason why Kit did this was because he was infuriated at Atz's betrayal towards Jamie and his brothers. But Kit didn't want Dexter to go all the way and kill Atz. He only wanted a small scene in order to scare the teenager. Dexter tried his best, except Atz grabbed his knife, and in the process received a fatal stab injury. When Dushane's men learn of Dexter's involvement, Kit personally kills him off. This was to cover up his own involvement in the assassination, but then Dushane finds out the truth through Jamie, once Jamie has sworn his loyalty to him in exchange for bail from prison. So to avenge Atz's death, Dushane orders Jamie to kill Kit, which he does. What's wrong with Dushane in this season? One storyline that isn't addressed in this full season revolves around Dushane's health. Throughout the 8 episodes that we got, we saw Dushane suffering from heart palpitations. In episode 7, he's forced to share what he's going through and asks Sully if he's ever experienced similar things, like whether his heart beats very fast randomly while doing everyday things like cooking or cleaning. Sully doesn't make much of it, but it's left unclear what's really going on with Dushane. Is he experiencing panic attacks, or is it some other illness? If there's another season of Top Boy, we can't say for sure whether Dushane's health will be revisited, since he's repeatedly expressed how he wants to leave the street life and go legit. So what happens next? The cliffhanger we mentioned was Jamie's death. With this core character dying, some serious consequences are bound to follow. The most likely outcome is a falling out between Sully and Dushane, the latter of whom expressed his desire to make Jamie his heir once he retires from the business. But the episodes to come should also explore the impact of their brother's death on Stefan and Aaron's life, who both depended on him. Will young Stefan also be pulled into the dark world of crime and follow in his dead brother's footsteps? How will the two deal with the major loss? And most importantly, how will they look after the affairs without the guidance of their best friend? These are all questions left unanswered with this season, and we hope the next one will address them. A major question mark also involves Stefan's friend Tia, who arrived at Jamie's apartment only a couple of seconds following Jamie's murder, even passing by Sully in the corridors as he departs. The camera lingered over Sully and Tia as Stefan screamed over the murder of his brother. She walked calmly inside the apartment instead. So is it possible that she's involved in this murder too? Earlier during the season, Tia mixed up Stefan with a rival gang, with Jamie arriving in time to protect his brother. Maybe this gang was involved too, to get back at Jamie? Dushane, Sully, and the rest of his men were also pitted against Curtis this time. The psychopathic gangster was murdered by his pregnant girlfriend Lauren, with Sully ordering Curtis's sister to go back to Liverpool and never come back to London. So, will they listen to Sully, or will they turn against him and try to avenge Curtis's death? All of these questions are certainly exciting, and if addressed properly, could make for a great 5th season. That was it for today's video. What do you think will happen in the next season? Which storyline do you think will be revisited? Let us know in the comments below, and make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Also, subscribe to our channel, where we post similar videos quite frequently. We'll see you in the next one.